Hi everybody, Steve Griffiths here, developer of the MTPredictor software program. In this video I'd like to have a quick look at the position of the Nasdaq, as it seems to be in a very interesting position at the moment. But before we get to that, we have to look at our risk disclaimer and remind you that all examples in these videos should be considered as hypothetical. No trades are actually taken, they're just shown for illustration and trading purposes only. Remind you there's a risk of loss in trading and investing, or put another way, all professional traders know and understand, but more importantly accept, that losses can and do unfold. No matter what approach you do, there will always be losing trades. So let's have a look at the position of the Nasdaq. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a look at the QQQ, the Qs as we call it, which is the ETF for the Nasdaq. And the thing that's very interesting at the moment is we're not looking at, I don't want to look at our automatic setups, but what I want to do is I want to go out to the weekly chart. Remember, if you're looking at a daily chart, you go to the weekly for the higher time support and resistance, and we go back to the prior weekly pivot high. Can you see that there? If I right mouse click, do decision point, can you see how that gave an area of potential weekly resistance that the Nasdaq has been, or the Qs have been rallying up to? So why is that so interesting now? Well, if I go back to the chart now, can you see how the Qs just tagged this weekly resistance over the last week? They've actually tagged it twice here. So if I right mouse click over this pivot high, do Elliott wave intermediate, this is why I thought was very interesting, in that the rally up off this previous low here was actually unfolding as an Elliott 5-wave sequence, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's not a brilliant Elliott wave sequence. Normally we like to see wave 3 as the strongest and longest and completed 5-wave sequence, but technically as long as it's not the shortest it can be okay. Just take that one off there. So the interesting thing that that brought this chart to my attention was how the Qs had actually rallied up here into a wave 5 high. Can you see that? But also because that wave 5 high has actually unfolded at our weekly resistance as well. Our MTP trend has gone from red to black, to indicating a potential reversal. In fact, all the way up here was actually suggesting this was actually a potential corrective rally. But the point being is that at this high here we have two things coming together: our weekly resistance and our typical wave 5 WPT. So does this mean that a decline is going to unfold? Of course it doesn't. No one can predict the future. That's not what analysis is about. But what we can say is if this is a wave 5 high completing here at weekly resistance, then the initial target would be the DP off the wave 4, which is down here. So on the Qs that would be a decline from around the 175 mark down to around the 165 mark. If that low is does not hold, then the market will probably retrace the entire prior 5-wave sequence, which if I right mouse click over the start of the sequence from here would be right back to the 150 level. Again, I'm not projecting that's going to unfold. All I'm saying is that at this particular point in time it seems that a high could be possible, and if that high is confirmed, then a decline could unfold down into the 165 level initially. So let's see how this unfolds over the coming weeks and months ahead, and to see whether we have actually had a high on the American stock market, in particular the Nasdaq, come in at this high here. But the most important point is that WPT, that DP level, that wave, that higher time frame DP resistance would have been on the chart in advance. So as the market was rallying up here, you could have anticipated that as a potential resistance area, and then as we come into here to our 5-wave high at the typical wave 5 WPT, again the two things coincided. This could be anticipating that a reversal is possibly at hand. Again, we're not anticipating or projecting that will happen. All we're saying is that if there is a high there, then a decline could unfold. How can you trade this? If we put our risk reward around that red sell bar there with the stop on above the high and down to the, oops, I'll do that again, down to the initial target, which would be there, it could be a potential 3.8 hour profit. If it carries on down to the lower target, that could be approaching a 9-hour profit. So this is a good example of how to uncover a potential trade setup. where a potential wave high may be in the process of unfolding on the Qs or the Nasdaq at our weekly resistance. So let's see how this unfolds over the weeks and months ahead.